Welcome, everyone. It is the local Toyota dealers KSR Postgame Show. That's about as good a game as you will see in college basketball. 106-100. Both teams in triple digits as the Cats get early morning home victory against Florida. It's only like 2:45, and we're done for the day except for this postgame show. I'll open up the phone lines here in just a few minutes after we finish this first segment. Awesome college basketball game. I mean, really, as it's that's one of those high level games where both teams played excellent, and luckily Kentucky was the team to win. And just an awesome environment in Rupp Arena. I mean, as loud as it's been consistently for a game in a long time, and a fan base really eager to get a big-time victory in the arena, and they got it. Kentucky's third top 10 win of the year, which is in and of itself a pretty astounding sort of stat, and they'll probably get 3 more chances at it as the years goes on, as Tennessee, Alabama, and Auburn will all come in at some point this year. First of all, let's just go over kind of big picture the game. I thought after the first 10 minutes of the game, that is the best offense that I think I've seen Kentucky play in a long, long time. In 30 minutes of action, they scored 82 points in the last 30 minutes. That's not even right. They scored 88 points in the last 30 minutes of action. I mean, there are very few games where Kentucky scores 88 points. They did that in 30 minutes. Just an absolute clinic on offense with 6 different guys in double figures. I think, and we'll go over them in a minute, I think the 6 main players all had massive stretches in the game that if you didn't have any of them, if one of them was not there, Kentucky would have lost. And that is just a credit to how this team is greater than the sum of its parts. Defensively, I don't think Kentucky played particularly wonderful, but I also don't think it was all on Kentucky. I think Florida was offensively themselves pretty amazing. Those 2 guards, Walter Clayton Jr. and then Martin, were both terrific. And we really didn't have an answer for them. And then you throw in the fact that offensive rebounding, we just got destroyed. They ended up with 17 missed shots where they either got the rebound or got the ball out of bounds. So 17 second chances, which led to 31 points. And to beat them with that stat, that's not going to happen very often. So I think Kentucky got out-toughed a little bit on the defensive end, but made up for it with excellent offense and creating turnovers. I think Kentucky made up for a lot of their problems rebounding by their turnovers. Florida ended up with 9 turnovers, but I think Kentucky converted 8 of those 9 into buckets. That's how you make it up. And then free throws, Florida got so many calls. I mean, I'm not a referee complainer. I don't think it was like unfair, but the referees just decided if you threw yourself into the defender, you were getting the call, and Florida just did that more often than Kentucky, and so they got a lot of free throws. But what I loved about the game is how each of these dudes were individually excellent. We'll start with Kobe Bryant, obviously 7 threes. We've waited. You knew this game was there. He's been an amazing shooter all year. But to make 7, all of them huge, including a couple where the game had gotten down to 3 or 4 points, he hits a 3, extends the lead. Never gives them a chance to tie the game or take the lead. And, man, every time he shoots, it feels like it's in. He doesn't force it. He took one heat check 3, and I thought it was in. It kind of went in and out. But it's just an amazing shooting performance by Kobe Bryant. Lamont Butler he finished with 19 points. But I thought just his defense, even though his man scored a lot, he got a couple of steals. He got fast breaks out. He made free throws down the stretch. He's kind of sneakily not been a great free throw shooter this year. He ended up hitting 6 of 7 towards the end of the game when they mattered. He was massive. Jackson Robinson, 14 points. You may have forgotten he was out there, but there were two different stretches where he had 5-point flurries when they needed baskets. Once in the first half when they were down 11, and then once in the second half, he got these little flurries, which kept them at one point in the game and the other point ahead. Then you had Andrew Carr. Andrew obviously hit the three that pretty much sealed the game. I thought he played pretty poorly a lot of the game. He got switched a lot on those guards. He couldn't guard them. I thought he was getting out-muscled down low, but he also then hit the two most important shots. He got the back-to-the-basket layup. He got the three in the corner. That dude, end of games, he has been money this year. At the end of games, he has been absolutely excellent. Did it again today. Oway. Kentucky went on 3 runs. I'd never heard the phrase, Billy, had you ever heard the phrase kill runs? Had you ever heard
No, never heard that. What is that?
Never heard the phrase kill runs, but I guess that's in the analytics stat head world, that's a phrase. And basically it means you go on a 10-0 run. Kentucky went on 3 different kill runs in the game, a 10-0, 10-0, and a 16-0 run. Here's a little stat for you, Billy, from Evan Mikayawa. In college basketball, in the last 20 years, if a team goes on 3 kill runs in a game and doesn't give up one themselves, they're 299-0.
Wow. Never lost.
Never lost, like LeVar Ball. And we did that today. We were number 299, 3 different kill runs, and all 3 of those started with an Otega-Oweh play. He ended up, it looks like, with 16 points, and I believe 14 of those 16 were at the start of the kill runs, to use the phrase that I guess they use in the analytic community. He really was the spark plug that kind of would get them going on runs that really were the difference in the game. And then finally, Amari Williams, a guy who I thought started the game terribly, giving up rebounds, defensive mistakes. Thought he was great in the second half. Good passing, got a couple big buckets, including one where he did something, Billy, I don't like when he dribbles down the lane, but he did that on a play, finished, I think got an and one on it. He was really excellent in that second half, and I thought, still wish he'd get his arms up when he's rebounding, but besides that, really, really good game. Throw in that I thought Brandon Garrison had good moments. Ansley Almanor was plus 20 in 10 minutes of action. Not really sure how that happened, but that's a pretty amazing number. And then Travis Perry. Travis Perry got some good minutes and hit a big 3. That 3 he hit was down to a 3-point game. Perry hits that 3, kind of stopped a little bit of a run, so I thought that was a big shot as well. So really this is a game where I think everyone on the team can be said to have contributed to the victory. I also want to give a shout-out to the Big Blue Nation. Dan Schulman, who is the play-by-play announcer that everyone listening knows his voice. He did the game today. He's been doing games for 25 years, does a lot of the games with Billis. He tweeted after the game. Now, this is a guy who does Major League Baseball, he does the NFL, and he's done college basketball. He said in 30 years of games that it was one of the 5 best combinations of environment and game that he's ever been in. That's pretty strong words from a guy who goes all over the country, gets the best game every day, and he says that about Rupp Arena, and he's correct. That was Rupp Arena at its best. It was an 11 a.m. game, guys, 11 a.m. I mean, KSR would only be halfway through on a regular day. It's 11 a.m., and Rupp Arena was like it would be for a 9 o'clock tip in prime time. That is a credit to that crowd. The Rupp crowd gets a lot of criticism. Some of it deserved, some of it probably hyperbole. But when it's at its best, you get nights like tonight. And tonight, today, it was at its absolute best. Big shout out to the atmosphere. Big shout out to the fans that were there. I was at the bar. We started our pregame show at 8:30. It got full right at 9, and you just had a sense it was going to be a good crowd. And I'm told the place was packed 10 minutes before the game. That's how you know it's going to be a great environment. And finally, it feels kind of apropos to talk about this now because we just finished winning this game against Florida. On my TV screen right now, Tennessee is playing Arkansas. Arkansas is down, looks like 18 with 8 minutes to go. And, starting probably now going forward, this is all going to be about this year, with the exception of February 1st, obviously, when Arkansas comes to town. But there were a lot of people last year that kind of thought, man, if we make a change, we'll set our program back. We'll never be able to beat Kentucky. Kentucky basketball will move in a reverse manner. I hope that today, if the Duke win didn't dispel that, if the Gonzaga win didn't dispel that, I hope today dispels that. I think this fan base is totally unified behind Mark Pope. But I also think it's worth remembering something that older fans have said for years. Kentucky basketball is not about any coach. It wasn't about Rupp. It wasn't about Hall. It wasn't about Sutton. It wasn't about Pitino. It wasn't about Tubby. It wasn't about Gillespie. It wasn't about Cal. And it's not about Pope. It's about the history. It's not even about the players. It's about the fans. And it's about the state. And that is bigger than any player, than any coach, any radio announcer, anything. Kentucky basketball is its own major thing. And today is an example of what I mean. Today is Kentucky basketball at its best. An arena filled with people who are watching a well-coached team that can go into a timeout, come out and run a play that gets an open three that can win the game. A team where the sum of the totality, the whole, is greater than the sum of the parts. None of these players individually are great. I don't know that any of them will play in the NBA. But as a unit, they are significantly better than their individual pieces, and they are fun to watch. And they care about the name on the front. All of them are making money. All of them are getting paid. And yet, this is as exciting as the teams in the so-called good old days because they love being here and they make this fan base feel special. And that's what Kentucky basketball is. So as I watch us win a game 106-100, a well-played game, up and down the floor, at the pace that Kentucky likes, with excitement and fun, and with one of us coaching on the sidelines and getting the victory. And I compare it to a 60-42 game I'm watching that I've watched a lot over the last few years. I think Kentucky basketball did exactly what it should have done and is in the place that we all wanted it to be.